Nice to see all of you young. When I was young like you, I used to wonder, what's the challenge? There's no challenge at all. Everything is wonderful. Parents are taking care. Studies. Some of you, those who are a student, if you're working, maybe you are having some challenges in workplace. But actually, there are real challenges in this world. Maybe there are occasions or for some lengths of time in our life, by God's grace, things are fine, but otherwise there could be a lot of challenges in life. I know a devotee family, middle-aged, small children, and the mother was walking in the street trying to get something maybe from a store or something. She was knocked down by a speeding motorist from behind, and the motorist drove away, hit and run. And she fell, and her head hit the ground. There was profuse bleeding. She was admitted to the hospital. She was unconscious for a few days. And after that, she regained consciousness. But life has never been the same as it was before. Children are distressed. Husband is distressed. She herself is distressed. Someone may say, these kind of things happen in a poor country like India, where there's no proper traffic regulation, discipline. If we also become very advanced like America, then we won't have problems. Someone would say like that. I'll tell you another story of someone I knew related this to me from the US. This happened in a city called Boston, which becomes very cold in winter, a lot of snowing. And it's a rule in America, at least in some cities, when there is snow in front of your house, you have to clear the way yourself, because it snows so badly for so many months. And so that out of courtesy, so that people can walk, and if they are walking. So people take turns in their homes. Sometimes the father does, sometimes the mother does. Just go and shovel the snow away and create a small path. So here in one family, the father told the son, "My dear son, can you please do?" And the son said, "Yes, Papa, I will do. Yes, Father, I will do." And he was doing the shoveling, and then it takes a little while. And so the father was a little concerned, the son doing this in cold. He went outside. They had their car parked. He opened the car and turned on the heater and told the son, in case it gets cold, just go inside a little bit, warm up yourself, come out and then continue. Like a kind father would do for a son. And so the son was doing, and then he felt a little cold and tired, and so he opened the car and it was warm inside. He sat, he thought he'll relax for a while. And he fell asleep. He can doze off. He dozed off. And it was snowing outside, and the snow accumulated, and the snow closed the exhaust of the car. and the heater and the air conditioning and the heating was on. And so the exhaust gas, carbon monoxide, could not go out. It got into the car system. And he was asleep, and he was breathing the air, and he didn't wake up. He was breathing carbon monoxide, and maybe in a few minutes he passed away. The father thought, where is my son? Why he has not come? Looking through the window. Then he walked out and opened the car and saw, my dear son, what's happened? Gone. This is a real story. And father, mother, everyone shattered when they saw a young son. So life genuinely has a lot of challenges. Interrelations, relationship challenges, work-related challenges. Some people have challenge, difficulties, coping with the work or the stress levels, or varieties of challenges. It's a myth to think that if I'm a rich person, if I'm very famous, if I'm very powerful, everything will be easy in life. It's not true. Big people have big problems, small people have small problems. Everybody has issues, problems in life, and everyone is struggling. And it's a scientific fact, like Darwin said, struggle for existence. So, the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic literatures confront this issue head on. Not in a superficial way. No, it's okay. You be positive. Even if the challenges are there, it's okay. You have confidence. You'll overcome that. You're great. You're actually very great. These are little, okay, it can motivate some people and it may have some place. But it's cosmetic, very superficial. Whereas the Vedic literatures address these challenges and the issues head on, directly. Yes, what to do with these challenges? How do we face these challenges? How do we overcome these challenges? Why do the challenges come and disturb us? While we are all looking for a situation free from challenges, how do we understand all this? This is the approach of the Vedic literatures. In fact, there is an interesting metaphor used in the Vedic literatures to describe life's situation. That metaphor is described in Sanskrit, samsara davanala. Anala means fire. Davanala means forest fire. Samsara means material existence, our life here in this world. This is known as samsara, an existence which has two endpoints called the birth and the death. So that's our existence, right? We began with our birth, and something very mysterious happens called death, and we are not there. Others are not there in the scene. Don't know what happened. And nobody comes back and tells us what happened. It's mysterious. As death is mysterious, birth is mysterious. What were we before? So anyway, this our existence between the birth and the death is compared to a forest fire. Why is it compared to a forest fire? Let's see, in a forest fire, what happens? Let's go a little closer understanding. Sometimes in summer, I used to study in a college, I used to be in a hostel, and when you come out of the room, it was open area, it was a little outside the city, and there were hills, and summer we used to see continuously smoke coming from some of the parts of the forest and the hills. And it would last for days and days. Sometimes it would spread more. Sometimes it is lesser. I've seen this from a distance. And of course, we can read that in the newspaper, in the media now. One state which has, one country, America, has big problem of forest fire is California. Huge examples of forest fire. Germany had forest fire. Last season, Australia had forest fire. So somehow in summer, in the forest, it's very dry, and some branches rub against each other, and somehow it sparks and starts off. And then the fire spreads. And when there is a forest fire, it's not an easy thing, especially for the animals and birds. The birds get disturbed. Suddenly there is fire everywhere. And invariably they just get charred. Animals, they try to run here, there. But there is no relief, and many of them get charred to death. So, the Vedic literatures use this metaphor to describe our situation. Our life is like a forest fire. Why is it like a forest fire? Because in the forest, nobody goes and sets fire. It happens automatically. In the same way, in our lives, we don't go around searching for misery. Miseries come about. Challenges come about. No one thinks, okay, let me walk in the street today, let me have an accident. On the other hand, we think, let me be safe today, and we meet accidents. So, unsought challenges come about in life. Just like unsought fire comes in the forest. And the second aspect of the metaphor is that when there is fire, there is misery. There is distress. And that happens to us too. Who wanted COVID? We were all caught in COVID. It's clear memory, right? Just 2 years ago. All of us have experienced. So, like this, unsought, it comes and then we are in deep distress. And we struggle to come out of it, like the birds and the animals trying to fight the situation. Some are successful, some are partially successful, some don't succeed, whatever happens. Another important example, an aspect of this metaphor, the Shastras, the Vedic literatures talk about is, a forest fire cannot be put out by human endeavor. If there is a forest fire, can we call the fire brigade, fire department, they'll come with open their hoses? No. Forest fire cannot be put out by a human effort. And when there is rain, the forest fire is put out and the animals find a great relief. So the Shastras point out, when there are distress and miseries like that, you need an external intervention, a divine intervention for relief from these things. By our own human endeavor, we may try, we may do some patchwork solution, but it will create more problems. I'll give you one very classic example. First time when I read this, I was very, very surprised. You know, before James Watt invented the steam engine, and you remember that history in science, the most popular and common way of transportation for people was horse carriages. People had horses and carriages, and they would have a horse and a carriage outside. And when they want to go out, they come out, they tie the horse on the carriage and go. And then they would go around and maybe buy something, get something, and come back. This was the era, pre-industrial revolution era. Everywhere in the world, it was like that. Maybe in our country, they use bullock carts. Or maybe somebody used horses also, whatever. And because of this, as you know, in a small town, in a city or a village, more people are there, more they somehow have some wealth. Say, for instance, they would have more horses and lot of horse carriages. And as a result, what happened was, all public places were stinking because of horse dung. You can imagine that, right? Everywhere there's horses are there, horse carriages are running, and then dung falling, and then unbearable stench. And then there was the steam engine, and then diesel engine, petrol engine, then the automobile, and then the industrial revolution. More automobiles can be manufactured at a very affordable price, and more cars came. Then the first thing the people thought was, wow, this will be a great relief from all the air pollution that we are having. Unbearable pollution in the air. And now you see 300 years into all the automobile and all those things. Today, automobiles are the cause of another kind of bigger pollution in the world, causing climate change and many other global issues. Big leaders in the country, in the world, are meeting together and trying to figure out how to reduce carbon footprint and so on. So there was a problem, and they found a solution, automobile. Automobile solved the stench of the horse dung, but it created another bigger problem that the whole world is grappling with. So the Shastras say these things keep coming back again and again and again. In fact, there is another example, another metaphor in the Shastra. There was a man carrying a big load on his back, and he was bending down and carrying. It was very, very painful. And at some point, he wanted a relief. He took the load off, and then he put it on one shoulder, and he started walking, and he felt, what a relief for my back. And he was walking, and then after a while, my shoulders are aching. And then he said, okay, I'll shift that. And then he shifted to his other hand. What a relief. And he was walking. And a little while later, you see, The misery keeps shifting. The details of the misery, the details of the challenge keeps shifting, changing. But the challenges continue to confront us. This is the reality. So, what is the Bhagavad Gita way to face these things? How do we face all these things? What's the Gita's recommendation? How do we handle these challenges? Very, very interesting solution the Bhagavad Gita offers. The first lesson the Bhagavad Gita offers in the Gita, in the early chapters of the Gita, the first lesson that Krishna teaches is, there are two levels of reality that we must recognize. One is the reality of the body. We all have a body, and we experience through the body. We have senses, we have visual experience, we have auditory experience, we have olfactory experience, we have taste experience, we have touch experience. That's how our world is. We see, we hear, we touch, we taste, and we smell. That's how we get an experience of the world, and we are all experiencing it. And this experience, the inputs that are coming through the senses are processed in the mind. And there is a certain kind of a processing that happens in the intelligence. And through this, we experience. This is what's happening to all of us. Like say, for instance, we see a thali of nice, delicious food. And when we see that, we say, wow, nice smell. Our eyes are seeing, oh, hot, nice food. And then intelligence, so the input went through the senses, through the eyes, through the smell. And then the mind started processing, oh, this is going to be delicious. I must enjoy this. And then the intelligence kicks in and says, hey, watch out. Don't eat too much. You'll put on weight. Don't know what will happen. Or see the price that is there. The thali costs this much. No, I don't think I can afford. It's okay. You see, this is the intelligence processing. This is how the Shastras analyze. There is sense and the sense object. The input happens. And then the mind creates emotions and feelings. Intelligence does discerning whether this is good, whether I can afford, this is the right thing I should do, or I can't do this. I must not indulge in it. This is intelligence functioning. And we are a witness and an experience to all this that is happening. And the Gita teaches that the first, all that we were talking about, it is called kshetra. Kshetra means a field of activity. My seeing a thali of delicious food and my mind feeling, this is nice, my mouth watering, and my intelligence saying, no, be careful how much it costs, whether I can eat, I should not eat, all those kind of things. This all field interactions in the field, kshetra. And there is another level of reality called kshetragna, one who is conscious of all this happening, one who is aware or who is conscious, who is the observer, who is the experiencer of all these things happening. Usually what happens is, when our perception and thinking is not clear, we bundle up everything into one experience. It actually happens. It is an integrated experience. Now I am analyzing it. Senses came in touch with the object of the sense, and then mind created some thoughts and feelings, and intelligence. Now I'm analyzing all that. But what actually happens is an integrated experience. Yes, I will eat and I'll relish, I'll enjoy. And it happens all the time. This is what's actually happening. This is how Krishna analyzes in the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna says there are two levels of reality. One is the kshetra and the other is the kshetragna. And our real identity exists in the kshetragna, the observer, the experiencer, the conscious entity, that conscious experience. And that is coming from a soul. That's the life force in this body. And that is what happens when we hear about the thing called death. The kshetra remains. The kshetragna has left. One who was experiencing through the body has left. So there is a kshetra and there is a kshetragna. And now, just like, I'm sure you all studied this, you throw a stone up in the air, and if your initial velocity is given and the angle of throwing is given, you can calculate simple mechanics, how the stone will go and fall, after how many seconds and where it will fall, because it's governed by laws of mechanics. Right? There are natural laws, gravity, weight, those few things like that. So just like, and in fact, everything in the world is governed by laws of nature, including the earth and the moon and the sun, planets, galaxies, and at the atomic level, molecular level, everything is governed by, that's how we have technology today. Right? Science has discovered all that and technology has used all these things. So, this world is governed by laws. In the same way, there are certain laws which have governed one kshetragna to enter a certain kshetra. I am a kshetragna. I have entered one kshetra. Some kshetras are called male kshetra. Some kshetras are called female kshetra. Some kshetras are called dog. Some kshetras are called human being. Some kshetragna entered a dog body. Some kshetragna, the soul, the life force, entered a human body. Some an insect body. Some a bird body. But it's kshetra and kshetragna that's happening. And this is governed by laws. The kshetragna enters a certain kshetra and experiences for a certain length of time. And then, governed by laws, the kshetragna and the kshetra, separation happens. And the rest of the people who are there, oh, he's dead, my God, he's such a nice man. Then what to do? Let's bury his body, or burn his body, whatever that thing ended. And life goes on. That kshetragna went away. And that kshetragna, what will happen? Again, it is governed by certain laws of nature. Something else happens. So, this is what is happening to us. There is the kshetragna and kshetra. Another word that Krishna uses in the Bhagavad Gita is deha and dehinaha. Dehinaha means an occupant in the body. Dehinaha. Occupant of the deha. So there is a kshetra, there is a kshetragna. Kshetragna, gna means conscious, aware, knowledge. From the word gna comes jnana, knowledge. So there is a conscious, knowing, observing, experiencing entity, and there is a kshetra which is the vehicle for the kshetragna to experience. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita says the kshetra is actually a modification of the world outside. Because the food we eat is transformed into the body tissue, and that's how we have the body, hands, legs, bones, blood, organs, all of that. So this is what is happening. So there are two levels of reality that we must understand. And our identity rests in the Kshetrajna level. And that Kshetrajna is experiencing through this body. The Kshetrajna in a dog body has dog experiences. We as human beings, we are having human experiences. Now, Krishna says, if we understand that there are two levels of reality, and between the two, the Kshetra existence reality is an inferior reality, and the Kshetrajna existence is a superior reality. I'll give an example, another example of inferior and superior reality. We go to sleep, and in the sleep, we dream. And we dream so many things. And then we wake up. And we know the dream was one kind of a reality because it was giving me experience. It was giving me, I was feeling happy, I was feeling sad, I was going through a nightmare, all that. In one level of a reality it is. But when I wake up, I shed that reality, it's gone, and I come into this reality. And so I consider, I don't bother too much about the dream. Say for instance, in the dream, somebody came and gave you a 1 crore rupee check and you deposited in the bank account. And suddenly the alarm went off and you woke up. You won't go check your bank account. Did the 1 crore hit the bank? You know that this was a dream after all. You don't take it seriously. In the same way, like a dream is an inferior reality, this is a superior reality. If we get enlightened sufficiently, if we get awakened sufficiently, just like from the sleep, we were dreaming in the sleep situation, we were awakened to a wakeful state. In the same way, this is another kind of a dream reality. We can get woken up to another higher reality of the Kshetrajna stage. And if we are aware of that reality and the dynamics of that reality and the interactions of that reality, then something happens in this reality, we don't bother. It's anyway inferior reality. So, in other words, there is a material reality and there is a spiritual reality. Two levels of reality. The Vedic literatures, the Bhagavad Gita, urges us to recognize, understand, appreciate, and experience. And when you are able to recognize that there are two levels of reality, there is one Kshetra reality or the material reality, and there's a Kshetrajna reality, the spirit, soul, life force level of reality. When you see these two, and when you understand, just like this Kshetra world has its own signs and mechanisms and how it works, and in the same way that spiritual reality also has its own realm of reality and interactions and dynamism. And if we understand that, and we see these two differences, when the challenges are happening in this world, we will know how to look at that. Because we have now awakened to another level of spiritual reality. Then we will be able to easily handle, these different challenges that are there. Because we are constantly in touch with the spiritual reality, which is a higher reality, superior reality. In fact, that is called Sat, this is called Asat. That, because this doesn't endure, this doesn't last, it ends. Whereas that is an enduring, everlasting reality. So this dichotomy of two realities is what the Bhagavad Gita teaches and helps us to understand that higher spiritual reality and how to live in that reality, how to experience in that reality. And that spiritual reality has none of these challenges that we see in the material reality. If we learn to experience that, appreciate that, understand that, then we will not be disturbed by the challenges that goes on. I'll give an example. In fact, acharyas who explain these, they give an example. There is a man and he is sleeping, and in the dream, he's going through a nightmare of an experience. He's being chased by a tiger and he's running. He looks behind. Tiger is there, almost leaping at him. He's trying to run faster, and you can see a man who is going through that kind of, he's sweating fully. And his eye movements and very disturbed sleep. Now, how to help him? One way to help him is, somehow if I can get into his dream and I have a gun with me, and I'll tell him, don't worry, and look at the tiger. With my dream gun, I shoot the dream tiger. And he will say, thank you so much. This is one way of helping him. There's another way of helping him. Wake up. And then he wakes up and says, there's no tiger. This is what the Shastras say. Uttishta jagrata prapyavaran nibhodata. This waking up can happen in the human form of life. This waking up cannot happen in animal life. Uttishta jagrata prapyavaran nibhodata. This is a great blessing in human form of life, that we can awaken ourselves to that higher reality. Now, somebody who is in that reality, who has that experience, how do they experience this kshetra reality which is full of challenges? There is one example in the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is another advanced Vedic literature. In that there are many examples given of great personalities. There is one great personality, mother of the Pandavas, Kunti. If you see Kunti's life, her life was full of problems. At a young age, her husband passed away. And then she had to take care of all the children. And she had to bring them up. And there was constant rivalry between the cousins. And they were always, putting them in different kinds of difficulties. And her life was a series of challenges that she was going through. And all her challenges and difficulties finally ended when, at the end of the Kurukshetra battle, Pandavas were victorious, Kauravas were all killed, Duryodhana was killed, and her son became the emperor. And that was the end of all her miseries, one could say. And Krishna had come from Dwaraka to help the Pandavas in Hastinapur. Kurukshetra battle happened. And then Yudhishthira was established and now he was going back to Dwaraka. And that time, different Pandavas and all of them gather in the palace and they offer their farewell prayers to Krishna. At that time, Kunti also offers her prayers. And in that prayer, she recalls Vishan Mahagne Purushadha Darshana Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichrata Mrude Aneka Maharatastrato Draunyastra Hare Bhirakshita. In this verse, she's recalling how when my children were small, they were poisoned. They were given food which was poisoned to kill them. Somehow, Krishna, you saved us. We were put in a Vishan Mahagne. Visha is poison. Maha-Agni. They were put in a house of wax and set on fire. Maha-Agni. And Krishna, you say, Vishan Maha-Agni, Purushadha Darshana. And when we were in the Vanavasa Krichrataha, in Vanavas, all kinds of difficulties they faced. And big Asura came, Rakshasa came, man-eating Asura. And we faced all that. And then we had the battlefield. And so many Maharathas were, my sons had to face them. All these challenges. And now, every time Krishna, you saved us. And now she was in front of Krishna. And you would expect, like we all go to a temple and we pray to God, I have so many miseries. Please put an end to all these miseries. So, we would expect that Kunti will say, Krishna, all these miseries were there. Now everything has ended. There shall be no more miseries. On the other hand, her prayer says, next verse says, Vipadaha santutaha shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunar bhava darshanam. Vipat means calamity. My life has been full of calamity, a series of calamities. And she says in her prayer to Krishna, Krishna, let the calamities continue to come. Vipadaha santutaha shashvat. Shashvat means let it go on and on and on. Tatra tatra vipadaha santutaha. Let these miseries continue to come, Krishna. Because she is in the higher level of reality, she is realized and she is existing in that reality. This reality, whatever happens, it doesn't bother. See, this is the kind of a spiritual enlightenment, spiritual evolution, spiritual education, spiritual learning that the Bhagavad Gita teaches to face the challenges of life. It's a very powerful process. And when we are awakened to that, whatever happens in this world, we are not disturbed by that. We'll face it. We'll act on it. Just like the Pandavas, they were acting. They were responding to those challenging situations. But they were not disturbed. So this is the paradigm. This is a kind of a thinking and a framework that the Bhagavad Gita offers. There are two levels of reality. And it is in this level of reality we experience all these challenges. If we can learn to rise to the higher level of reality and exist in that level of reality, then we will not be disturbed by these. Now, one question may come. Oh, if we have to do all these things, if I have to understand that higher spiritual reality, what will happen to my job, my career, all my aspirations and my ambitions and my family, my home and all those things? Will I have to give up all that? No. It's an art how you can live in this world, the world of challenges and the difficulties that may come about, and also live in this and learn more and more about the spiritual reality and continue to coexist in both levels of realities as long as our laws of nature allow us to remain here. And it is not that you have to give up this level of reality, negate it and condemn it and give it up. Only then you can go to that. No, there is a way to learn. You can be doing your studies or job or career. That can continue. At the same time, learn it, spend a little time to learn things about the higher reality. So that is the program that the Bhagavad Gita offers. How to experience these two levels of reality. Just like we went to school and college, and that's where, because of our education, we learn to think, analyze, all these things, right? If we had never gone to a school or a college, we will be, illiterate and uneducated, can't understand many things. In the same way, if we don't get educated about spiritual reality, we will miss out something very important, and we will just be struggling and tension. And sometimes people take some extreme steps because of some challenges they face in life. We can avoid all these things if we can learn to recognize two levels of reality and how to be awake and have a higher understanding of that higher reality and the dynamics associated with that. And that realization and that reality is a very, very blissful experience, regardless of what's going on in our material life, the lower inferior reality. So this is the kind of a solution and the proposition that the Bhagavad Gita gives. Something that all of us should, every thoughtful person should look at it carefully, seriously.